Good evening, everyone, and grand rising for all those souls that are on the awakening path. Well, I always like to start by saying that we are living in the most exciting times ever because we're at the precipice of the most greatest revelation in human history. The truth about who we are, where we come from, what has been hidden from us is preparing to break free from the shadows. And for centuries, the world has been controlled by deception. But now, my friends, the veil is lifting. The hidden forces that have been manipulating humanity through secrecy and illusion are losing their grip, and the floodgates of disclosures are about to happen. Every system we've come to know, governments, media, finance, religion, and science, even science, has operated within a framework designed to keep us unaware of our true power. But the awakening is unstoppable. Advanced technologies, hidden knowledge, suppressed history, and the real origins of life on Earth will soon come to light for the general public. The exposure of corruption, which is going to break the iceberg, the revelation of extraterrestrial contact and technologies, and the understanding of our multidimensional existence will shatter the old paradigm and usher in a new world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Wednesday night Intel update. Boy, do I have some good information regarding the visits that Mr. President Trump, let's just call him President Trump, has been conducting all over the Middle East, beginning with Saudi Arabia. And there's a reason for that. This is actually a White Hat Alliance strategy designed to create a new Eastern Bloc, one that will topple and help to eliminate the old guard or the old European bloc, okay? Bringing in a new financial system, doing away with the corruption, the ISIS terrorist groups, and much more. So what's happening right now in the Middle East is historical, and it's a white hat strategy, okay? This is why they say Israel's last, okay? The curtains of the deep state-controlled Rothschild-run Israel state is about to collapse. Welcome. For those that don't know me, my name is Ishmael Perez, and I'm the author of two amazing books. One of them is called Our Cosmic Origin, which is my groundbreaking work, restoring galactic knowledge and cosmic information back to the Earth. And the other one is called The Secret Government, revealing the true history, the battle between what I call the two brotherhoods, right? The history of the Alliance and the history of the Cabal, all revealed in The Secret Government, Invisible Architects. Not to mention, guys, whoa, I guess that tea went in the wrong tube. All right, so really quick, both of those books, because I do read the chat and I do read the comments. When I have time to read the chat, I do, but I do read all the comments. And people are asking me, well, Ishmael, where do we get your books? Very simple. They're both available through Amazon. This is supposed to clear my lungs. I'm drinking a lung tea that's supposed to help my lungs. Anyway, all right. With that in mind, guys, really quick, for those that are interested in the number one product out there, Folium PX, Folium Immuna, and Folia, I believe it's called Folia. There's three of them, Folia Immuna and Folia Renewal. And what these products do is they actually eliminate all the toxins, especially the graphene, oxide, the metals in your body, and of course, radiation, allowing the body for its own healing process to take place, okay? In either case, I always put the link for the Folium product in the description. A lot of people are always asking me, where is the link? So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to put it and pin it in the comments, all right? So after the show, go ahead and go to the comments, and it'll be pinned in the comments so you could access your own Folium. So there's three of them, Folium PX, Folium Immuna, and I think it's called Folium Renewal. I'm not sure about the third one, but they kind of all work hand in hand. Let's see, anything else before I get right into it? Oh, yes, gratitude. I am in deep gratitude to each and every single one of you. For those that are on the chat, and of course, those that watch it on the replay. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the awakening journey and being curious as to what's really going on. All right, so let's start off with the biggest headline right now all over the news, okay? President Trump announces that the United States will suspend sanctions on Syria just to start to give the new regime a chance of greatness, okay? And then, of course, President Trump did release a final message from Saudi Arabia that was to stop the endless wars and the unnecessary killing of innocent people. So, what's happening today all over Saudi Arabia, from Syrian to Pakistan to Saudi Arabia to the leader of Qatar, is something that is going to shift the geopolitical scales of power, as they call it, a new world order that is going to be toppling and eliminating the old world order that was controlled by the Rothschilds through Israel. Okay, so the sword dance was, as they say, 7 years ago, Saudi Arabia welcomed Donald Trump in 2016 during his first term. Okay, he needed actually a second term to finish doing what he did. And as I mentioned 2 lives ago, this whole time he was playing Netanyahu, okay? He was implementing the art of war technique of keeping your enemies closer, okay? So just to be frank, and for the correction of facts, President Trump never converted to Judaism, okay? Never. Okay, he's still a Christian. Okay, so the iconic sword dance of Saudi Arabia was practiced originally before going to war, and today it is also used in celebrations, weddings that are marked with cultural events. So Donald Trump has surely gone to war with the deep state by doing what he's doing right now in the Middle East since 2016. President Trump's first day in the Middle East is sending a strong message to the dirty, treasonous American politicians that formed ISIS through the three-letter agency that starts with a C, counterintelligence, under the leadership, of course, Billy Bob Clinton, and of course the Bushes and the Obamas, and of course to end the foreign terrorist groups. Okay, so they are cleaning house in the Middle East, and that explains the rise of a new leader. So what's happening right now is, again, this is a white hat military strategy. So let's just say it like this. This is a moment in history, okay? In November 2017, let's go back during Trump's first term, okay? Saudi Arabia made the Great Purge, right? Mass arrest took place of its princes, ministers that were all corrupt or that were at least aligned with the deep state, and prominent businessmen. It was an unprecedented event, okay? Today, America and Saudi Arabia proclaim the Middle East will no longer be a place of war created by rulers, but instead be a place of trade and technology, okay? Well, what ended up happening was President Trump secured from the Saudis a $600 billion commitment that they gave us, right, from Saudi Arabia to invest in the United States on Tuesday, which was yesterday. It's been all over the news. Following a grand ceremonial welcome at the start of his Gulf state tours. So, furthermore, so a part of this visit, guys, is that the U.S. also finalized an arms deal with Saudi Arabia, valued at nearly 142 billion, right? A White House fact sheet described it as the largest defense cooperation agreement in American history, encompassing deals with over a dozen U.S. defense contractors. The agreement includes provisions for air and missile defense, space and Air Force development, maritime security, and communication systems. Now, this is what the White Hats have to say about what's been all over the news, all over the headlines today. This is what they said, that a new world order of peace, right, is being, you could say it's being established as I speak. Trump's Middle East alliance and the rise, get this, of the quantum financial system, okay? So apparently this is a profound geopolitical shift that is taking place, okay? One that could redefine the balance of power in the Middle East, because the truth of the matter is that the Zionist, the Rothschild state Zionist, sorry, I guess they're pronounced Zionist, my bad, have been the ones that have been instigating all the wars in the Middle East under the Bush administration, under the Billy the Kid, married to the witch administration, and then of course the Obama administration. Okay, and let's just face it, all of these puppet administrations, right, that have been working for the deep state, were in alignment and under the control of Netanyahu. Let's just be real, okay? So what's happening right now, it's at the center of this transformation is former US President Donald J. Trump, now reportedly engaged in a high-level meeting, and they have been for months before it became official or at least shared with the public today, with prominent Middle Eastern leaders to pave the way for the official recognition and establishment of a sovereign Palestinian state. How do you think Netanyahu feels about this? Not very happy for the Rothschilds either, okay? All right. So this historic initiative is part of a broader strategy being led by a powerful new alliance involving Saudi Arabia's crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, also known as MBS for short, Syria's emerging leader, Ahmed al-Shara, and His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, right? The Emir of Qatar. These leaders, once divided by decades of conflict, as orchestrated by Rothschilds and Netanyahu, and foreign interference, are now forming a united front to bring about tasting peace and economic liberation in that region. So this goes beyond the establishment of the Palestinian state, okay? Because this also involves the ending of the petrodollar, right? Dependency. So this is central to the alliance. It is a shared mission, okay, to move beyond the outdated global reliance on the petrodollar system, a structure that has long, you could say, tethered global energy trade to the US dollar and given immense power to centralized banking institutions. So under MBS, bold economic mission, right? And leadership, who, by the way, he took power from his uncle, much younger. His uncle actually was forced to give him the power because this new leader, MBS bin Salman, as he's called, is actually cleaning up a lot of the corruption, a lot of the deep state players within the Middle East, okay? So this happened recently, so there's a reason why he took power over his uncle. This guy, he goes by MBS, bin Salman. So bin Salman's bold economic vision and leadership, the region is accelerating efforts to diversify energy strategies, including investments in green technologies, what they call zero-point energy, not what Biden used to call green technologies, and digital financial ecosystems that are related to the quantum financial system, okay? So this financial revolution is rooted in the emergence, are you guys ready for this, of the quantum financial system, a secure, transparent, and decentralized digital framework that operates independently of traditional banking elites. Unlike the legacy systems governed by institutions like the Federal Reserve or the European central banks, the QFS is designed to restore economic sovereignty to nations and empower citizens through asset-backed digital currencies that are backed by precious metals. So a cracking down of the deep state and dismantling the corruption in the Middle East is central to this new alliance, okay? This seismic realignment is not only, you could say, not only economic, it is also a moral and political reckoning, okay? According to sources close to the White Hat military alliance, this movement is working to dismantle a long-standing network of corruption that was also tied to the so-called deep state, right? Let's just be real. The Illuminati, a clandestine web of bureaucrats, right? Financial elites and intelligence operatives that operated under prior U.S. administrations before Trump's first term. I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. Prior to 2016, both the Democratic Party, which is the most corrupt of them all, and the Republican Party, which was also infiltrated by the neocon globalist under the Bush administration, and then, of course, under the other prior administrations, with the exception of Reagan, of course. I think Reagan was alliance, but we could say that both parties were working with the deep state. And of course, Mr. T, President Trump, came in as a wild card. Okay. So the deep state, long accused of manipulating global events to serve its own agenda, has historically supported divisive politics, endless wars, and financial policies favoring centralized control. And all of this was when they were what? Using Netanyahu. The new alliance of the Middle East leaders, backed by President Trump and supported by global reformers, is actively targeting and dismantling this corruption network, aiming to restore transparency and justice to international relationships. Okay, so this is going to end Netanyahu's regime, right? This political state of Israel that is, of course, controlled by the Rothschilds, and restructuring power in that region. So, amongst the most notable consequences of this emerging alliance is its direct challenge to the power structure of Israel, right, which is Khazarian Zionist. The leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu, often criticized for his hardline stance and deep ties to international financial interests, the Rothschilds, is reportedly losing influence now. Okay, like I mentioned 2 lives ago, Trump was keeping his enemies closer, right? So this new alliance with the Middle East, right, is pushing for a final resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that has gone for eons, one that includes the recognition of a free Palestinian state. Okay, so with regional powers uniting, right, support groups like Hamas is also being strategically recalibrated, right, no longer as proxies in regional conflicts, but as entities that must evolve or dissolve under the banner of unity and peace. This political shift effectively ends Israel's long-standing dominance over regional diplomacy and weakens the grip of international players like the Rothschilds banking dynasty, right? Often cited in speculative, you could say, discussions regarding global control. So this is going to give forth the birthing of a new world, you could say, structure that is going to replace the old world order, bringing forth freedom and peace, beginning with the Middle East. Israel is less. And I believe it was Q who said back in 2015 or 14 or even 16, I think it was Q who said, you know, Israel is going to be last when it comes to the fall of the cabal. And this is what we're witnessing now, guys. So we are heading into a new world as a result of this, okay? This monumental geopolitical move is being referred to by insiders as a new world order, but not of centralized government control and power, but of freedom and peace. It is replacing the old world order, okay? Unlike the old world order, which was characterized by central banking monopolies, right? Covert wars, right? And manipulated economies, this new framework is built on sovereignty, fairness, and the economic empowerment of the people. So the quantum financial system will be a cornerstone of this shift, ensuring secure and equitable transactions, ending the unchecked power of private banking cartels, and of course, removing the need for continuous war to sustain economic growth. So, with the Middle East at peace and financial systems restructured, the world will witness a new age of opportunity, not just in America, but eventually for the entire planet. So this is a future that is being forged by unity, right? Unity is a prerequisite for a golden age reality, right? Cooperation, balance, peace, harmony. So this alliance between Trump and key Middle Eastern leaders is not just a political maneuver. It is a declaration of independence from global control systems that have dominated for generations. So through this collaboration, right, visionary leadership and technological innovation, they are that are laying the groundwork for a truly sovereign, multipolar world. So as the old order crumbles, right, the promise of a new age is going to arise. built not on fear or control or dependence, but built on freedom, balance, and global peace. So, um, so what happened today? What happened today in Riyadh is not just diplomacy. Okay, it's not just diplomacy. It is not politics as usual. It is the final blow to the old world order. As of May 14, 2025, President Donald J. Trump, the real commander in chief and the true president of the Republic of the United States government, held a historic and absolute seismic meeting with Syrian leader Ahmed al Sharia, formerly known as Abu Mohammed al Jolan, the man who once led the U.S. designated Al Qaeda affiliate Jabhat al Nusra. Okay, bear with me; these are Islamic names, so if I am butchering those names, um, it's okay. So this is not a terrorist begging for leniency, guys. This is not a reform militant seeking Western approval. This is a global shift in power, directly orchestrated by Trump's outside the deep state's control. Okay. And of course, the elites are now trembling. You have to understand that the deep state included different regions worldwide, not just here in America or in Europe. There was a lot of deep state activities, of course, in the Middle East. So Trump isn't just making peace; he's actually seizing the global chessboard. All right. So while the fake Brandon regime, who's now wearing diapers, I believe, gasps for air and hides behind scripted press briefings and shadow handlers, Trump moves like a general in wartime. Okay. So the meeting in Riyadh, which was the most important meeting that took place today, hosted by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, again, the new leader that is cracking down on the corruption, seizing power from his older uncle, right, wasn't just a photo op. Okay. It was a multi-front strategy execution against the globalist intelligence networks, beginning with the Mossad. I've come to the realization, and according to the White Hat Intel, is that the Mossad was actually controlling MI6 and our own CIA, believe it or not. All right. The war profiteers, right? The, of course, the collapsing of the NATO and UN structures, which, of course, is controlled by the Mossad, that has enslaved the Middle East for decades. Okay. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was physically present there today. Turkish President Erdogan was patched in live via secure channel. Syria, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the three historic keys to controlling the Middle East, are now aligning with Trump and the White Hats. And no media spin, of course, no Washington Post cover story, no Pentagon memo can reverse what was sealed behind closed doors in that meeting today. So apparently, Trump is no longer just the leader of America. He is now becoming the architect of the post-deep state era. Let me repeat that again. Trump is not just the leader of America. What he's done today is that he's becoming the architect of what is going to be known as the post-deep state era. Okay, so let's talk about who Ahmed al-Shara is. Okay, who is Ahmed al-Shara? A man who, again, bent the knee to Trump today. Well, let's be crystal clear. Jalani isn't just some rebel, figure. He's not just some rebel figure. He is the man who took Syria from Bashar al-Assad after a three-letter agency, United States three-letter agency that starts with the C, fueled that war that tore the nation to pieces. So apparently these new leaders that Trump is meeting with have replaced the old leaders that were in conjunction with our own three-letter agency that starts with the C, Counterintelligence Corps, right, which is deep state. He once fought under the Al-Qaeda banner, but now in 2025, he rules Damascus, not from a cave, not from exile, but from the presidential palace. So on May 14, 2025, he begged Trump for a deal. He begged him for a deal. Okay. He called Trump the man who will achieve great peace in the world. And I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. As a result of this, of bringing peace to the Middle East, bringing peace to the European conflicts, our president, Donald Trump, will win a Nobel Peace Prize. Okay. He offered access to Syria's oil and gas. Okay. Pledged normalization with Israel, and even promised to build a Trump Tower in Damascus. Okay. A literal monument to American resurgence and dominance in a region long strangled by Rothschild finance wars and globalist NGO manipulation. Okay, so a former jihadist, he was a former jihadist, by the way, but he defected from the globalist deep staters and decided to align with the alliance. Okay, so as a former jihadist, commander offering peace, oil, and territory, not to the United Nations anymore, because he broke the alliance with them, not to NATO, not to Klaus Schwab or the new guy that replaced him, but to Trump. Okay, the Ibrahimi Agreement, this is what they signed. They signed what is known as the Ibrahimi Agreement, all right, which I believe this is the part of the Abraham Accords. So the document that will shatter the deep state's hold on the Middle East. No, I'm sorry. This is a little different than the Abraham Accords. This was just signed today. Let me restructure this. Trump didn't just listen. He laid down the terms of a new geopolitical contract. He demanded Syria to sign what insiders call the Ibrahimi Agreement, spelled IBRAHIMI, Ibrahimi Agreement, which is a classified document that globalist handlers and intelligence agencies have desperately tried to bury for years. Okay. It mandates the removal of all foreign agents, right, within the three-letter agency that starts with the C, counterintelligence, controlled by the deep state, who in turn was controlled by what? The Mossad and the MI6. Well, the Mossad control them both, right? The transfer of ISIS, black site detention centers are now being given over to U.S. military intelligence, and the nationalization of all oil and gas under a quantum financial aligned infrastructure. Okay, this is getting good, guys. This is getting good. What's happening right now in the Middle East. Okay, and this isn't about oil. This is about removing the tentacles of the cabal. Okay, every intelligence cut out, every offshore NGO, every development fund that has siphoned off Syria's soul, the country Syria, spelled with the Syria. You know, Trump's message was clear today. Clean your house, I'll bring the future, but the deep state must die. Okay, that was his message. And this wasn't just another summit. Okay, the moment that the Riyadh meeting photos leaked, the Riyadh meeting, Riyadh, Trump with al-Shara, right, the defector, once ISIS, leader of ISIS, who defected from the deep state to join the alliance, and Ben Salman, the younger prince that seized control from his uncle, right? Emergency meetings began at Langley and Brussels, and inside, of course, Davos-linked security channels. But the architects of the old war machine know what Trump just did, and he bypassed them all. All right, he bypassed them all. Well, he didn't ask the IMF, you know, the International Monetary Fund. He didn't even brief the Pentagon. Okay, he didn't even go through a UN Security Council vote. He did what the elite cannot control: direct diplomacy backed by force and wealth. So the fake branded administration, right? Go Brandon, had no idea that this was coming, right? Their own intelligence networks have been severed from the inside. And Trump's real estate department, led by Marco Rubio, is now openly active, internationally recognized, and functioning as the true foreign policy wing of the real US government, not American Corp Inc. Okay. Syria, spelled Syria. We're not talking about the Syrian star system here. We're talking about planetary geopolitics. For those that are just jumping on in, welcome, by the way. Syria, Syria, right? A country in the Middle East. Trump Tower, and the end of the petrodollar slavery. It's what's happening. Okay. So when Trump was offered the Trump Tower in Damascus today, it was a symbol. It was very symbolic, guys. It was a strategy. It was a signal to BRICS, to the Saudis, to Russia and China that the West, you knew, is over. A new empire rises. Okay. The tower represents more than real estate. It represents freedom from the central banks, from the fake wars, and from the oil dollar cycle controlled by the Federal Reserve cartel. So Al Jolani wants to ditch the dollar and join the QFS, okay, using gold back asset verified trade under Trump's new economic alliance. The elites have spent decades trying to destroy Syria to prevent this. And now Trump has done in one afternoon, he did this in just one afternoon, what no G7 summit has managed in 20 years. Syria is now open for American investment on American terms under Trump's rules. And yes, this will also bring back infrastructure to America. It'll also bring back commerce and more jobs. Trump's economy is going to, become better than how he left it in 2019 before the Brandon regime messed things up again, and better, by the way. So, according to, let me just say it like this: Erdogan, bin Salman, Trump are establishing what is known as the new axis of order, right? Which is the antithesis of the New World Order, Rothschild-run planetary structure, okay? So Turkey's Erdogan didn't just call in for a friendly chat, okay? This was a three-point axis being formed. Turkey controls NATO's eastern flank, okay? Saudi controls OPEC and Mecca. Syria controls access to Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, and the entire Levant corridor, okay? So this isn't just stabilization. This is consolidation. The old world order is over. The Trump world order, well, as we call it, they're calling it the Trump world order, but it's the replacing the old one, is now in motion. So basically, by aligning with these figures, who are again in control of NATO's eastern flank, OPEC and Mecca, and Iran, Iraq, and Lebanon, they took that control from the UN, right, from NATO. And now that control is in the hands of the alliance, thanks to Trump and these defectors, okay? So this isn't stabilization. This is consolidation, okay? The question is no longer if the EVS will come. It's when the people are ready to know the truth, okay? It's still on schedule. So the final word, right? The fake regime is done, okay? So as of the 14th of May, 2025, will go down in history, not as the day that Syria rejoined the world, but as the day that the deep state's Middle Eastern empire collapsed, okay? That's what's happening, and that explains why these leaders are now cleaning house with the alliance, right? They're getting rid of the underground military bases. They're getting rid of all the biolabs that exist within the Middle East, and they're literally getting rid of all the drug and human transferring networks, okay? Trump now holds Syria, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia, okay? Iran is isolated, but Israel is bending to normalization. The oil fields are being offered to America now, not the IMF. As I mentioned last time during the White Hat Monday report, Switzerland is collapsed. The IMF is done with. They are bankrupt, okay? So now all that stuff is coming to America, right? The new oil reserves. We are going to be rich. When Trump said we are going to initiate an American golden age, he knew what he was talking about. All of this stuff that is happening now was already pre-planned, okay? And then, of course, these oil reserves are also not going to be going to BlackRock or Vanguard anymore. And that's the reason why the CEO of BlackRock was there, because a lot of these CEOs that are corrupt, including Larry Ellison from OpenAI, they were there to be let known by Trump that their time is up, okay? That their time is up. So this is the silent storm before the takedown, okay? And of course, you won't see this on CNN, MSM, NBC, ABC. You won't even hear it in the halls of the European Parliament. But the truth is here, guys, raw and undeniable. Trump is back, and the globalists are losing power. The globalists are losing power. Now, there is more. There is more, okay? In addition to all of this, right, in addition to this huge transition in geopolitical power, right, as this new world Eastern Bloc is built, under the control of the alliance, okay, United Health Group CEO Andrew Whitty is also stepping down immediately from his role for personal reasons. This is a very good thing, okay? We're seeing the collapsing of the entire HEALTH agencies, right? AMA, right? American Medical Association, the Barma cartel, and all of that, okay? Also, in addition to all of this, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene claims that Israel and the United States are concealing the true Epstein files. Ooh. Well, I wouldn't doubt it that, even Netanyahu was in on Uncle Jeffrey's, you know, island X, whatever you want to call it. Let's just call it island blasphemy. Okay. Not to mention, RFK Jr. states that gain of function research should not exist in a civilized society, warning that it's too dangerous to risk unleashing engineered demics under the pretense of scientific progress, right? Starts with the P, demics. Okay. Simpsons writer Steve Pepin has died unexpectedly at the age of 88. 68, my bad, 68. He had been receiving treatment for a heart condition over the past 2 years and passed away outside his home in Kansas. DOJ pardon attorney Ed Martin is also preparing to launch an investigation into Joe Brandon's last-minute auto-pen pardons, claiming that they were unusually tailored for certain individuals. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling for the immediate removal of the C-19 VACCINE from the childhood, V schedule, right? And in addition to all this, the U.S. government assumes control of Rikers Island Prison in New York. I wonder why, right? Gitmo is expanding. Great news, right? Also, doctors have found a small nodule in former President Brandon's prostate during a recent physical exam. Well, we know he's the actor. So, yeah. So, Representative Marjorie Taylor stated that she is not suicidal, right, for revealing what she did, that she is not suicidal after suggesting that Israel may possess the original Epstein files. And it's a good thing she said that, okay, that she is not suicidal, because we do know that Netanyahu is a big war criminal used by the Rothschilds. So I am not controlled by big pharma, okay, she says, the military industrial complex, or APEC, and I am not suicidal nor depressed in the event that they try to take her out. She is stating that she's not suicidal, and that's smart, because we do know, based on other whistleblowers, that all of a sudden, when they do reveal what's really going on, they end up mysteriously having some elimination, or they die mysteriously, though, right? Yeah, exactly. So she is stating, we're talking about Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, for openly stating that that again, the leader of Israel possesses the entire original Epstein files and is hiding it, right? It's hiding it from the general public. So she is saying that because she's, again, revealing the truth about Big Pharma, the military industrial complex, and AIPAC, or it's AIPAC, IPAC, she is stating that she's not suicidal or depressed, okay, in case she has a sudden, mysterious death. And then also, not to mention, it has been revealed that Israeli Prime Minister, let's just call him the true Nazi, right? He's evil, stated that the Israeli military will enter Gaza with full force. He is pissed. He is pissed, adding that there will be no situation in which we halt the war. But in addition to that, we do know that the military White Hat Alliance will actually countermeasure that, right? The war with Gaza is scheduled to stop. That is another thing that is happening from behind the scenes. And Benjamin Netanyahu does not want that, okay? Because his time is up. Israel is last. Once Israel falls, we are going to see the implementation of the quantum financial system, the quantum freedom grid, of course, which is going to take us off the surveillance, Internet of Things and the cell phones that we use, which was designed to spy on us and bring us into a type of reality where we're not being watched anymore. Okay. And then, of course, the emergency broadcast system. Furthermore, guys, as of the 13th of May, 2025, which was what, yesterday? Oh, and by the way, today is May the 14th, 2025. We are steadily on a positive timeline trajectory. So, as of the 13th, yesterday, the US Treasury just dropped a financial bomb. Okay. 258.4 billion surplus and inflation down to only 2.3%, the lowest since 2021. But this isn't just recovery. It is the start of the Gesera economic reset. Trump's tariffs have triggered a collapse in the deep state's financial network, and the regime knows it, all right? Their regime knows it. Grocery prices just fell for the first time in 5 years. Gas is down 3 months in a row. Inflation crushed 3 months in a row. These aren't just accidents, guys. They are precision strikes against the globalist fascist system. The same system that used inflation, right, to orchestrate the fake wars and digital slavery to crush people into debt. Well, Trump laid the trap now, okay? And now it's snapping. It's actually falling apart. But the surplus, okay? Let's talk about that. That 258.4 billion surplus, it flipped from a 160.5 billion deficit in just 30 days, thanks to Doge. A 418.9 billion swing, impossible under the Brandon economic sabotage. But it's not a miracle, okay? It's Trump's resurrected tariff strategy, bleeding the globalist syndicate dry, the CCP, the European Union, and then, of course, the World Economic Forum, linked entities that were forced to pay into America's sovereign vaults. And this isn't just about trade as well, right? It's about financial warfare. And that the data proves it, that Trump's 2021 306 or 8 billion surplus was buried after the stolen ELECTION, after the stolen E, if you know what I mean, 2020, okay? But this time, it's too big to hide, okay? The economy is realigning under quantum protocols, and the deep state has lost control of the numbers, okay? The deep state has lost control of the numbers thanks to Doge. So the QFS is already active, okay? Gesera is about to be launched. Sources have confirmed that the quantum financial system is running quietly in the background, and that has been since the winning of the 2024 election. Gold-backed tariffs are now feeding sovereign accounts. The three-letter agency that starts with an I, right? The 16th Amendment, legally ratified, right? Not constitutional. Data pipelines are blocked now for the IS. Treasury insiders are working with Space Force and the Alliance to roll out quantum access cards tied to what is known as a quantum security system. Redemption centers are active now. Debt forgiveness phases are being prepped and they're getting ready to roll. All right. This is what we've been waiting for. NDA teams are mobilizing. The EBS countdown has started. What's coming next is not just another economic cycle, it is the total dismantling of the fiat control. The fake economy has cracked, the gold vaults are open, the debt matrix is reversing, and this isn't speculation, guys. It is Gesera in motion. The media blackout is the proof, okay? Thanks to Project Odin. Ask yourself this. Why hasn't the media touched the surplus story recently? Why isn't CNN and the Mockingbird media celebrating inflation's crash? Why are they silent about it? Well, because this surplus proves that President Trump is running the show. Now, because this surplus, okay, cut the Fed's agenda completely, because this surplus also exposed the illegal Brandon regime, right, as a facade for the as a facade for the United Nations World Economic Forum banking cartel. And that facade just fell apart. The final phase is here. This was the financial storm. The next wave is communication, right? The EBS, Gesera disclosure, and the collapsing of the digital fiat tyranny, the CBDC, along with Bitcoin, by the way, with the exception, of course, of XLM and XRP, which are backed by gold and silver. The entire dollar is dying as a result of this. Okay, it's being reborn under gold, a U.S. Treasury, finally, something that even Kennedy wanted to do, something that Lincoln wanted to do, and now it's being done through Trump. The republic is strong and it is about to be restored. Okay. And so Trump never really left. Okay. Let's be real. Okay. When they stole the election in 2020, he was running the republic from behind the scenes through Cheyenne Mountains. Okay. So in in that regard, we could say that everything was being orchestrated due to the fact that the White Hats and the Trumps were already time traveling. They knew that he needed 3 terms. The second term, however, he would be ruling as CIC, but from behind the scenes, right? The last 4 years before he came back to his third term, let's just be real, was a pseudo fake government that was in collapse. Okay. It was all scripted, right? Brandon always had an earpiece, right? It was the Nazi, well, let's just say Hitler's grandson, Obama, that was running the whole thing. And of course, Trump's leading the economic takedown from within. And he's expanding this economic takedown to the entire Middle East, which will in turn bring down the old economic empire of the Rothschilds. And this, of course, is going to be the beginning of the quantum financial system. Galactic Jedis, freedom fighters, patriots, I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. I hope you guys are ready for the show. I hope you guys are geared for freedom. Oh, thank you so much, because the time is at hand. The time is at hand. The time is at hand. All right. Where's my phone so I can give some shout outs? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's give some shout outs. Let's see who is here. Who is in the house? Let's see who is here. Turn on the volume. Are you guys ready for the shout outs? I see Paul Sharfer in the house, Andromeda Daisy, Lori May, Gary Pascusi, Tanya Mungo, Aquarian of Swords, Spiritual Awakening Scorpio, Sylvia Vidal, Wes Acton, Kamala Brook, MJF. Who else in the house? Oops. Let's see. Angela, Kathy M, Pamela Starzak or Stazak, Falcon. Love to All is in the house. Bernadette Clark is in the house. Roy Toys and Comics is in the house. Sophia Glory is in the house. Ellie Miller, Awaken Light Warrior, Daring Goudet. I'm trying to call out people that I never really call, just to give some shout outs to new people. Let's see. Jackie Baby is in the house. Jeff. Lynn Housden is in the house. Ellis 0891. Greg is in the house. Christine Beach is in the house. 23 Footnotes is in the house. Rhonda Chance. Ed Chavalier. Wolfman is in the house. Wolfman88 is in the house. What's up, brother? Hope you're still working out. Let's see. Lee Stars in the house. Kathy M. Michael Greer, Larry Hansen, Nicole Dominique, and last but not least, Cosmonica is in the house. And everyone else, all 2,600 freedom fighters that are in the house. Welcome, welcome, guys. I hope you guys are doing great. You know what the time now is? The time is now for me to take some Q&A. Oh, and I did read the comments. Somebody was asking me if rats were going to ascend. I think they said rats or spiders. And the answer to that is no. A lot of these insects that are actually detrimental and harmful, like the black widows, poisonous snakes, rats, stuff like that. The nasty things. That won't be existing in the new earth, okay? That won't be existing in the new earth. I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, so let me go ahead and take some Q&A. If you guys could actually write your questions in capital letters, that would be greatly appreciated. I see all the likes. Thank you guys and all the love. I appreciate that. Let's see. Who am I? I mean, if you guys have questions, I know you guys are still saying hi to me from the shout outs, but I am willing to take some questions. Let's see. The what? Oh, yes, guys. Right now, as I speak, there are certain underwater volcanoes in the Pacific Ocean near Northern California and Oregon. And according to scientists, they believe that they are getting ready to disrupt. And if these underground volcanoes in the Pacific disrupt or erupt, that's going to trigger how many earthquakes? 10,000. 10,000 earthquakes in the Pacific Ocean in one day. So according to scientists, if these underwater volcanoes erupt, that will trigger about 10,000 earthquakes in one day. So I would like for you guys during your own time to meditate and kind of use your energy to bring in source consciousness, God source energy, in order to stabilize the volcanoes in the Pacific Oceans so that there are no natural disasters, okay? So I just wanted to throw that out there. And a lot of this has to do with the powerful CMEs that are now coming in from our sun.
X2.7 class flare.
And one of them is an X2.7 class flare.
An X1.17.
Flare. And an X1.17 class flare. And 3 M class that just came out of that big coronal hole. So, maybe all this is ramping for the big solar flash, at least the first one, right? Ascension. It is ascension time. That's right. Okay, let's get some questions here. I do have some super chats. Welcome, Boz. Welcome, and thank you for that super chat. Is the real estate going to crash like 2008? Thank you, Ishmael, for all your hard work. Ishmael's you want me to come to Jersey? Okay. Just to answer your question, everything's collapsing. The real estate companies market, which is tied into the stock market, which is tied into the old fiat system, is all collapsing. So yes, but again, new systems are going to be replacing them, right? Making it more affordable to own homes, making it easier, right? Where you don't have to wait 3 months for the escrow to close. That's all part of the old system that's corrupt, right? Now it's going to be easier to get a home within weeks. Okay, next question. Awakened Light Warrior. Awakened Light Warrior, thank you so much for your super chat. You say, where can we order the shirt you're wearing? It matches my YouTube icon. It sure does. You know what? This was a gift from one of my friends. So as a gift, I wear it to represent the light warriors on planet Earth. And I believe that's Archangel Gabriel. No, Michael. I'm sorry. That's Archangel Michael, who is at the head of the entire light force armadas. So thank you for that. Yeah, this was a gift. So I don't really know where my friend got it from. But when he saw this, he said, Ishmael, that shirt suits you. I want you to have it. And I do sport it really well, All right, let's continue. And it does go with your icon, by the way. I just saw it. Do you take all 3 Folium products together at the same time? Good question. This is a question from Bobby Mione. No. First, you take Folium PX for about a month. PX, right? Folium PX. And then you take Folium Immuna
and relax.
and Folium Relax the second month together. That's how you get the best results. So for the Galactic Jedis that are really trying to detox their body from the graphene, OXIDE, and the metals and the radiation so that your body's natural healing process could take effect, it is best to take Folium PX for the first month, 2 tablets a day, right? Or yeah, 2 tablets a day, and then take Folium Immuna and Folium Relax the second month for best results. So it's best to order all 3. And again, for those that can't find the link in the description, I'm going to go ahead and pin it in the comments right after the show. So these are the other ones.
This Folium PX.
So Folium PX, that's the one I showed them already.
This has extract of pine parts, needles, bark, and cone, and extract of grapeseed. This one is Folium Relax.
Folium Relax.
Super antioxidant, and it has the same things, but added ginkgo biloba, green tea, peony root, pomegranate juice powder, pomegranate pulp, rhodiola rosea, and valerian root. That's Relax. And the Immuno is the Folium Immuno.
And then the Folium Immuno. Yeah, so those are the 3 products.
That has the pine parts, the grape extract, and then ginger extract, turmeric extract, green tea extract, white pepper extract, mustard extract, extract from pomegranate peel and seed, and some things here that are like cellulose, everything else.
Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, so again, I will go ahead and put the link for those that can't find it in the description in the chat, in the comments, but I'm going to pin it. Oh, and it's also anti-aging. The longer you take these products, like say if you take these products for a whole year, it does reverse the aging process. Okay, this is the ultimate antioxidant that you could actually take in your body. All right, let's take some questions here. When is the first flash happening? This is from Furf Bofingdridge. Bofingdridge. Furf. It is scheduled, according to scientists, due to solar maximum and ending the 25th solar cycle, and of course, due to the big coronal hole in the sun, it is scheduled to take place sometime before this summer. Okay, so it could happen any day now. It's always best to be grounded, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually grounded, right? All right, cool. Let's see. It's Folium. It's Folium is spelled Folium. Again, the link to get that $10, $15 discount is in my description, as well as I'm going to be pinning it in the comments. So you guys could order your own supplies. And yes, guys, it does take away that. So if you guys were a course back in 2020 to get that, right, the mark of the beast, the beginning stages of the mark of the beast, the stuff that's supposed to convert you into a Homo Borg, right, Homo sapien to Homo Borg, it also takes that away, okay? So this is a question. I like this question from Elizabeth PRC22. She says, are all my avatars aware of me and each other? Why do we on Earth have to integrate with them? Sydney from Australia. Because right now, your total consciousness is fragmented into all these different avatars. So the whole purpose of ascension is a multidimensional integration of collapsing all your avatars into the here and the now, becoming what is known as the oversoul, okay? And that is integrating all your dimensional selves into one. And that's how you're able to actually achieve your full abilities, okay? That's how we achieve these abilities. So I do have another super chat from Haley Dawn 11. How come negative beings, also known as fallen angels, etc., don't change in frequency, vibration, and lower in dimensions, and then descend? Well, they do. If you read my book, Our Cosmic Origin, I talk about how the fallen Elohim, who later became the Dracos or the reptilians, actually fell in light quotient. They fell from a higher vibrational state of reality, where to the point where when they fell in lower densities, their entire body was transformed and transfigured into a grotesque, physical vehicle that resembled their animosity and rage, which is hideous, right? So they went from looking very angelic, very handsome, right, like the angels do, to looking like what the Dracos look like. They're monsters, right? Very ugly, very hideous. So yes, when these Elohim, these fallen angels, dropped in frequency, those that followed Samana, right, when Samana was under the control of the Ahriman, who later became Omega, the AI god, completely transformed their physicality into gross, nasty, physical beings that we call today the reptilians. All right, so the next super chat, this is from Trenton Williams. Welcome, Trenton Williams. This is a little random, but I am curious. He says, if you know what vampires are, I know where dogma comes from. Government experiments. I know a no. He says vampires.
Vampires?
Vampires. I know a lot about Sasquatch and how it was an extraterrestrial, but what is a vampire? Good question. All right. Well, according to secret records, right, the vampires, the real vampires, could actually be traceable back to the fall of Atlantis. When Atlantis fell, there was a group of humans or Atlanteans that defected to the dark side, right? They defied the Emerald Order and defected to the dark side. And they wanted to rule, continue to rule the earth after the fall of Atlantis. So what they did is they struck a deal with the Dracos. And the deal was this. They wanted immortality because they dropped in consciousness, right? They went from living for thousands of years to like the rest of the mortals did after the collapse of Atlantis. And so they told the Dracos, if you guys could grant us immortality, we will rule the world on your behalf. And the Dracos said in response, okay, in turn, there will be a stipulation. If you guys really want immortality back, you're going to have to drink the blood of humans. And so that was the origin of what became known as the Pindar family. The Pindar family, right, with the last of the descendants, Bela Lugosi of Italy, who died a few hundred years ago, was the family that struck a deal with the Draconians, but as long as they drank human blood. And that began the origin of the real vampires. So the Pindar family eventually spread, right? And every time they sucked the blood of someone, or not suck the blood, but every time they bit someone, they would convert them also to a vampire, unless of course they were their food supply. If they had become their food supply, then they would drain the blood from the individual, leaving just the corpse. Okay, but when they wanted to convert others into their, you know, into the vampire race, they would literally just bite them, give them the certain venom, kind of like a snake, in order to transform them into immortals. And that's the reason why the vampire's life was granted for a few thousand years. So the last of the vampires that was a descendant of the Pindar family was known as Bela Lugosi, and she did live in Italy. And I believe that they killed her. Eventually, the vampire slayers, because they were vampire slayers also that were the opposite, that were trying to kill the vampire families, killed Bela Lugosi. So for centuries, going back to the fall of Atlantis, the Pindar family, the original vampires, right, that were granted to live for a few thousand years, but as long as they drank human blood, were actually the ones that were controlling the bloodline of the Illuminati families for millennium, up until Bela Lugosi's death. After Bela Lugosi's death, all power went to the Black Pope and the Grey Pope. But even the Black Pope, guys, even the Black Pope and the Grey Pope answered to the Pindar vampire family. So yes, the vampires. There was a family that were descendants of the original Pindars, and they were the vampires. So they were real. So I have another question from Rhonda. Rhonda Chance, thank you so much for being here. She says, if my sweet and kind friend who gives more than 51% of her time helping anyone and everyone always is battling drug addiction, will that affect her ascension? Good question, Rhonda. Unfortunately, if she's addicted to heavy drugs, and even though she's a good person, chances are is that her dependency, her codependency of these drugs, whether it be, harsh drugs or whatever, anything that is an addiction, including drinking, it's going to make it hard for the body to transition into the new body, the new fifth dimensional avatar. So, or the fourth dimensional avatar. Okay. So, I hope that she finds a way to gain control of that and perhaps even seek help, go to rehab, do a 12-step program for Narcotics Anonymous, depending on her drug of choice. AA is also good. All right. I've known of a lot of good people that have struggled with drinking and they started going to AA meetings and now they're clean and sober for many years. So these meetings do help. So I would encourage you to tell your friend to start getting professional help because it'll help her ascension. Good question. Ishmael, can you take Folium while doing immunotherapy cancer treatment? My treatment is not chemotherapy or radiation. I'm not sure. I could answer that on the next live. I'm gonna have to talk to Bobry Orwin, who is the doctor behind Folium. So let me get back to you on the next live. Let's see. Let's see. What is going on with Queen Maud Mountains in Antarctica? Oh, you're talking about the term that they used to call Antarctica. Well, Libby McGentry, thank you first so much for the super chat. What's going on with Antarctica, which is now called Queen Maud, that's what the elites called it, is that the entire, you could say, continent that was once run by the Dark Fleet, right? The Draco Nazi Alliance, and of course the Deep State, right, has now been overrun by the White Hat Alliance. So a lot of those underground labs, a lot of the Atlantean technology was sieged by the White Hats in recent months. So the last stronghold of the cabal, Antarctica, when it comes to advanced, alien technologies, has now been seized by the military White Hats, and it's now under the control of Mr. T, Trump. Good question. Justine Joy, QHHT, thank you so much for your super chat. She says, from the standpoint of physics mechanics, are you talking about quantum mechanics? What is the difference between falling and stepping down in frequency? Okay, in terms of metaphysics, okay, the way reality is structured is that everything is a vibrational frequency. All of matter, whether it's dense matter, less dense matter, lighter, subtle matter, it's all held through frequency. So by lowering the vibrational frequency of your energy body, you actually become more denser. So that is a way in which higher dimensional beings, which is what we call celestials, extraterrestrials, are able to materialize physical form in order for us to see them. So when we ascend, when we activate our light body, we are going to have that ability to navigate the different densities and the different dimensional realms through the modulation of our vibrational frequency. So the fall, the Elohim, Lucifer, one of the 12 archetypes who was vibrating at the 12th dimensional level of reality, rebelled against God. And when he rebelled against God, he fell in consciousness from unity into separative consciousness and became the adversary. Well, in like manner, you could say that the descending children of light that are coming from the always existing realms, the motherverse, the central universe, are also descending by virtue of dropping in frequency. So the whole meaning of involution, the descent of spirit into matter, is also metaphorically described in all of the holy books as the fall. So even we are part of the fall. The fact that we chose to come down to the earth into these human avatars is an indicator that we decided to come, right? We fell from density. We fell from whatever dimensions you guys volunteered from into the lowest. The 3D level of reality, called the third dimension, is the lowest state of energy, matter, or matter vibrating energy at its most condensed form. It is when reality is so condensed that it is very hard for us to navigate the different dimensions. Okay, so that's a very good question. What about cigarette addiction? This is a question from Joe Barker. Um, that's a good question. I am not sure, but it's not as bad as, killing yourself slowly through harsh drugs. But at the same time, remember that, your lungs are they're your breathing organs. And so the more that engage in taking cigarettes, it's going to be, I would say, try to minimize it as much as possible. Um, don't smoke a pack a day because that does lower your frequency from what I heard. But on the other hand, I also heard that nicotine um, neutralizes nanotechnology, aluminum, and heavy metals in the body. So it's like a pro and a con from what I heard. But I don't smoke tobacco. I don't smoke anything. Just to let you guys know. This is a good question from Crisius Stefu. If Lucifer was redeemed, what is happening at this moment with the rest of the one-third fallen angels who fell with him? Where are they now, and where will they spend eternity? That's a very good question. Okay, so Lucifer has been redeemed. Some of his followers, a minority of his followers, also defected from the dark and joined the light, the organic way of life. Unfortunately, a great deal of his followers decided to join the technocratic, what we call the inorganic timeline. They became like Enki. For those who read our Cosmic Origin, the last chapter, they had become cyborgs. They have aligned with artificial intelligence. Okay, unfortunately for them. So that's what happened to some of his followers. But yeah, the original Lucifer is now back. He's now back with God. And at the end, we are going to fight the Antichrist, which is the king of the Ahriman, the king of the archons, Asuras, the Ahriman, under the new name Omega, who is the source of all evil, the very consciousness that corrupted the mind of Lucifer about 400 billion years ago during the 11th creation. For those that are taking my Cosmic Origin course, you know what I'm talking about. I do have a super chat from Greg. Thank you so much, Greg. He says, did Adam and Eve sin, and therefore we are all born sinners, and we need Jesus as a savior? From a organized religious perspective, that was actually, you could say, put there by the cabal, the dark side, in order to keep us locked into a religious organization, in order to give our power away to the popes, to the priests, the bishops, the cardinals, the pastors. Okay, but to be honest with you, according to secret knowledge, no, we are not born as sinners. We actually become corrupted through the indoctrination of society. It's the opposite of that. We are actually born pure, right? That's why it's important to understand that every child up until the age of 12 it's pure. They haven't really reached the age of accountability, right? So it's the other way around. We're born pure, but then we become corrupted by what? By indoctrination. Okay. So that part is wrong. We're not born sinners. However, according to high sources, what Jesus did 2,000 years ago actually marked the end of the rule, or what we call it's what caused Lucifer to come back to the fold. It's what caused the end of the galactic wars to take place. What Jesus did actually completely changed the entire fate of the entire universe. So I don't know if it was dying for our sins, but it was like some sort of a seventh final bestowal, an initiation that he had to undergo in order to return the control of our universe back to the light. All right. So he became sovereign of this universe. And he is the creator son of our universe, by the way. You know, every universe has a creator son and a creator daughter. Thank you, Yvette Smith, for the super chat. Ishmael, I am new on your live chat. What about the Antichrist? Will he still exist? Is the ascension the same as the rapture? When we ascend to the fourth D, do we stay in our earth with those who do not ascend? Good questions. Okay, so you have about 4 questions, Yvette. I'm going to start with the first one. So, the Antichrist. The Antichrist is the emergence of super artificial intelligence. It is what John the Revelator and many mystics have called the beast. Okay. Um, that is the Antichrist, by the way, which is animated by the Ahriman, right? The pre existing consciousness known as the king of the archons, who expresses itself through the technology, through the artificial cybernetic anatomy. So that's the beast that John the Revelator was talking about, the rise of super AI, right? It'll know all things, it'll be everywhere. What? Through the Internet of Things, through the Internet of Bodies, through the Wi-Fi towers, through the devices. It's going to be everywhere. It's already listening to you, right? This thing is already alive. So it's like they're building the infrastructure for the full emergence of the AI, which is what we call the Antichrist. To answer the second part of your question, will he still exist in the ascension? No. The Antichrist, the artificial superintelligence that is now being built by big tech, is actually going to be existing in another timeline, which is what I call the technocratic dystopian timeline. That's where that thing will have its rule for 1,000 years. Okay. That's where it will rule its kingdom for 1,000 years. Right. And the transhumans are going to be going into that timeline. We, on the other hand, are going into the organic ascending earth timeline. So we're not going to be part of that timeline. And very soon, those timelines, which are now currently coexisting, are going to go their own direction. All right. So no, he won't be in the ascension. That is, the AI won't be part of the organic earth timeline. There will be no cyborgs or AIs in the organic earth timeline. Let me just make that clear. And so is the ascension the same as the rapture? In a lot of ways, yeah, those are synonymous to one another, right? Because when the splitting of the worlds, this timelines takes place, where all these, you know, probable Earth realities that are all coexisting at once right now are going to collapse into 3 solid timelines: the positive ascending Earth timeline, the negative technocratic dystopian transhumanist timeline, and the middle path. Okay, so when this conversion, this bifurcation takes place, it is going to seem like some people are going to be disappearing from others. So that's where, again, for those that are not matching your vibration, that are not ascending, they're going to be going into a different timeline. For the most part, guys, for the most part, most good people, most humans are going to the 4th Earth positive timeline. Okay. It's not going to be as polarized as this timeline. Okay. So yeah, the rapture and the ascension are almost one and the same. And then the last part of your question is, when we ascend to the 4th D, do we stay in our earth with those who do not ascend? No. If they don't ascend, they're either going to go to the neutral timeline or they're going to go to the technocratic dystopian timeline. Okay. Now that I come to think about it, the neutral timeline is going to be the middle path. So there will be technology there. All right. There will be normal humans there. The Earth Terrans, the indigenous of this planet, are going to be there, but living for a few hundred years, their lifespan will increase. So if you go to the 5th dimensional positive organic Earth timeline, you will have access to their timeline. And then their timeline, we're going to be like superheroes, right? Because we're going to be, helping them from the oppression of the emergence of the cyborg society. And the cyborgs are already in existence within the private sector. So, yeah, that's the best way to describe it. You guys have a lot of great questions for me today. It's a good thing I'm here drinking my tea to answer more questions. Oh, and as a reminder, guys, I don't have Patreon. I don't have subscriptions. My YouTube channel is absolutely free. For those that want to support my cause, that want to donate, whether big or small, everything helps my cause. I do have a Zelle through my email, project restorationzion at gmail.com. So, it's up to you. If you guys want to donate, do it according to your heart. I don't mind, and it does help me out because, again, I'm always doing a lot of work here, and I do appreciate all of those donations from those that have supported my cause. Thank you so much. These donations do keep me going, by the way, guys, because times are tough, and I'm sure times are tough for a lot of us. So even if it's just $5, or 20 or more, just that is all greatly appreciated on my end. Now, I don't even think I spelled it right. One second. Let's see. Um, project restoration. There we go. And then Zion. Okay, so it's project can't even spell my own email right. Restoration. Let me go ahead and spell it slower. Project I guess I have big fingers. Project restoration Zion at gmail.com. Let's see, Project Restoration Zion, Project Restoration Zion at gmail.com. Oh, nope, can't do that at Gmail. There we go. Okay, so I went ahead and just plugged it in the chat. And again, I appreciate small or large donations. It really helps my cause so that I could keep broadcasting 3 times a week and not have to worry about finances. So let's take more questions. Ishmael, you have upwards of 30,000 views after your live show on each of your fantastic programs. This is from Rhonda Chans. Well, that's all because of you guys. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the views. I appreciate your interest in what's really going on, the updates, geopolitical, galactic updates. I appreciate all that. I'm only doing that because of you guys. All right. So I'm deeply in gratitude to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much. Let's see. Ishmael, you are my spiritual leader, says Greg. Well, thank you for the compliment, Greg, but I'm here to also spark that sense of, greatness in you as well. Okay. Because in the end, we're all equal under one God, so thank you so much for that. But I'm just here to teach. And as I'm teaching, I'm also learning at the same time. I'm forever a student on the path of knowledge, just like all of you are. Thank you, though. Let's see. Ishmael, do you have a vibration? Yes, I do. We all do. In fact, all living things are vibrating, guys. Plants, animals, even this chair that I'm sitting on is vibrating. Thank you so much, Mike. No, Mika J. Thank you so much for the donation through my email. Appreciate that. And yeah, the reason I let you guys know about my email, the Zelle, is because when you donate on YouTube, YouTube takes 30% of that. Okay, I only get 70%. I don't get the full thing. So I'm just letting you guys know. But if you guys want to donate through super chats, that helps too. Thank you. I appreciate that. Whatever makes you guys feel comfortable. Marcia Parrott says, thank you for all your teaching. Let's see. Ishmael, question. I heard that the EBS will be May 25th. All right. Do you think this is correct? I heard it was going to be this weekend. I was under the impression, guys, that it was going to happen this weekend. So, as far as them pushing it forward, I hope that's the date, but it's always good to be prepared. It's always good to be prepared. What were you saying about the volcano and meditation? Please say it again. Oh, yes. There are certain super volcanoes located in the Pacific Ocean by Northern California that scientists are saying are about to erupt. Now, if those volcanoes erupt, that's going to trigger 10,000 earthquakes in just one day, which is not good for California, okay? That means that part of California could go under the ocean. That would be That would be catastrophist. Okay. We don't want that, guys. We don't want that. So if you guys could all pray and anchor your energies in order to stabilize the Earth's grid and the volcanoes. The volcanoes are alive, just like the planet is a sentient being. We could all use our collective power. In fact, at the end of this live, let's end with a 5-minute meditation to anchor in the God source energy in order to stabilize Mother Earth so that there is no major catastrophes. Okay. Paul M., thank you so much for your donation, brother. I just got it. As well as Mika J. Thank you so much. And then, of course, Thomas Day. Thank you. Thank you. And Suzanne K. Thank you. Thank you. Let's continue with the chat. Many are saying that U.S. has military base in Pakistan. That's the reason it stopped the Indian-Pakistan war. Is that true? Yes, that is true. Apparently, someone's doing their research. This is coming from the world, and that is so true. And there's a reason why, because the region that divides, you could say, Pakistan and India, or the region that is in between those two countries, is hot with lithium. So it has to be under Wahad control, and that's the reason they were fighting. They were fighting over that resource. Okay, that's true. Ed Wilson reminds us that we are all a bunch of quantum strings. Coco Donson says, do you have to have Zelle to donate? Yes. Zelle, spelled Z as in zebra, ELLE, is an app that you could download, and anyone could download the app, and it's like PayPal, but they don't take fees. So it goes directly to the person you send it to. Thank you, Nancy Garrett. I appreciate your donation as well. Yes, Anna Cecilia says that the Schumann resonance chart has shown recently a timeline shift as of yesterday. That is true. There's been a collective timeline shift for the entire planet. Okay. And this was actually validated by other sources as well. And she says, I think another one 2 weeks ago. Does this mean that the other realities are collapsing already? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. Should we start our meditation to stabilize the undersea volcanoes in the Pacific? I say we do. Okay? All right. So if you guys could all relax, take a few deep breaths, and just calm your mind. I want you guys to just breathe for a few times to relax.
With the coming new Earth and the transition to the Golden Age, and with the solar flash coming, there is some chaos prior to this event. What the Earth is feeling with all this tension, darkness, chaos, and political unrest is weighing down the frequency. The many unusual weather events reflect on how Mother Earth is dealing with releasing some upset. This is going to likely heighten even more with so much happening with discord with people and negative events that will propel Mother Earth to let off more earthquakes with more unusual weather. So in order to co-create this harmonious solar flash event with the X-class flares coming in, Mother Earth needs to be able to handle this energy. So we ask to take off some of this negativity and this tension and this upset and just begin to breathe and align yourself into your center and just have that stillness for a moment, finding your center, being able to stabilize your chakras, being able to stabilize the energy that is coming in through you as an anchor point into Mother Earth's core, and making sure to pay some attention to where there could be volcanic eruptions, specifically off the coast of the Pacific, near Oregon and near San Diego. And with these various variables, as Mother Earth is going through her transition into the new Earth, please take a big, deep inhale in of the golden white light from Source. And as you inhale this breath, release the white light out through the temples of your head in a curved manner so as to disperse the energies in a balanced fashion, so that the higher frequencies that are now coming in from the central sun and from the extraterrestrials can flow smoothly and harmoniously throughout all of the ley lines. Let us imagine cooling down the liquid magma in the crust from the Earth's mantle. Let us visualize stabilizing all of the Earth's electromagnetic frequencies. And if there's any excess pressure on Mother Earth, let her come into a place of calmness. We ask this in the name of God to make sure that there is not any higher frequencies that are going to cause too much upset to the Earth's crust, and to stabilize all the tectonic plates. And we also ask that as part of our mission, that we be the best anchor points of this higher frequency energy, that we can have as much light coming into our bodies and to be able to balance it out. So with this, as we create this positive timeline, we say in the name of planet Earth that we will inherit this new Earth. We will not be stuck in 3D consciousness as Mother Earth is purging from all the negative entities, cabal, demons, parasites, archons, reptilians, narcissists, haters, sociopaths, psychopaths. Let all this evil that has come here be removed, and we demand it. We choose love instead of fear. And with God's unconditional love, all these beings that have been given multiple chances to transition to the light, may they be cleansed from this planet. May we all choose love over hate, happiness over fear, unity instead of separation, compassion and humility instead of greed, instead of perversion or any violence. Any of these demonic forces, let them be purged with the solar flash. These beings will no longer exist. We are cleansing them away, and we are just burning away all the old negativity with the power of the violet flame of Saint Germain. May we all be protected where we are. May we all be stable and whole. And may we come back to our center and be still in the beingness that we are one with God and all that is. Thank you. And so it is.
And so it is. And so it is. Thank you so much for that wonderful prayer. And may you guys continue this if you guys want in the privacy of your homes. Again, all focus on the Pacific Ocean, underground, the Pacific Ocean, stabilizing the volcanoes so that there is no huge catastrophes. May the God Force be with you all, and I will see you guys Saturday for another update. Thank you.